On the news tonight, INEC announces more results of presidential and National Assembly elections. Presidency, National Assembly, organizations and elder statesmen condemned call by former President Obasanjo on cancellation of presidential election results. Plus, Nigerian military upscales non-kinetic approach to war against insurgency. Hello and a warm welcome to NTA Network News at 9. I'm Henry John and we're live in Abuja. The presidential election results from 29 states have so far been collated. The Chief Collation Officer of the 2023 presidential election and Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, promises to conclude the process diligently and at the expected time. Reacting to the walkout by PDP and Labour Party agents from the Collation Centre yesterday, Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yabagi Sani, expresses confidence in the process and advised those expressing concerns to follow the due process. Collation of results from the remaining 7 states will commence any moment from now. And still on the election, States Independent Electoral Commission have continued to announce the National Assembly election results. Here's a compilation of the released results.
National Assembly results from Taraba State shows that Governor Dairos Dixon of the People's Democratic Party lost his senatorial bid for Taraba South Senatorial District to David Jimkuta of the All Progressive Congress, while his deputy, Haruna Manu, emerged as the winner of the Taraba Central Senatorial District. From Kebbi State, Aliu Bello Kauji of the All Progressive Congress has been declared winner of Sura Bagudu Federal Constituency, while elections in Kebbi North has been declared inconclusive by INEC due to electoral violence. In Cross River State, Emil Inyang of the All Progressive Congress has been declared winner of the Akpampa Baese Federal Constituency, and Abang Victor of the same APC emerged as the winner to represent Ikom Boki Federal Constituency. Similarly, Basi Ikaba of Labour Party emerged as the winner of Calabar Municipal Odukbamni Federal Constituency, while Basi Joseph of APC was declared winner of Calabar South Akpobuyo Federal Constituency. Also, Efono Ode of the People's Democratic Party emerged as winner of the Ogoja Yala Federal Constituency, and Peter Akpampe of the PDP emerged winner of the Obaleku Obudu Bekwara Federal Constituency. Deborah Balagugo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has urged former President Olusegun Obasanjo not to willfully truncate the 2023 general elections with his inciting, self-serving and provocative letter on the elections. In a statement issued by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, the former president, he said, cunningly framed as an appeal for caution and rectification, is nothing but a calculated attempt to undermine the electoral process and a willful incitement to violence. The minister expressed shock and disbelief that a former president could throw around unverified claims and amplify wild allegations spiked up from streets comments against the electoral process. The statement pointed out that the former president is only masquerading as an unbiased and concerned elder, while in reality he is partisan who is bent on thwarting by subterfuge the choice of millions of Nigerian voters. The minister added that the former president in his time organized perhaps the worst election since Nigeria's return to democratic rule in 1999. Hence, he is the least qualified to advise a president who is determined to leave a legacy of free, fair, credible and transparent election, as well as other good dividends to the Nigerian populace. Lai maintained that the whole nation waits with bated breath for the result of last Saturday's national elections amid unnecessary tension created by professional complainants and political jesters. What is expected from a self-respecting elder statesman at a period like this are words and actions that douse tension and serve as soothing balm, not to promote anarchy. Therefore, the statement frowns at those arrogating to themselves the power to cancel an election and unilaterally fix a date for a new one, ostensibly to ameliorate perceived electoral infractions, should please exercise restraint and allow the official electoral body to conclude its duty by announcing the results of the 2023 national elections. Thereafter, anyone who is aggrieved must follow the stipulated legal process put in place to adjudicate electoral disputes instead of threatening fire and conjuring apocalypse. Meanwhile, General Alani, who served Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff and Chief of Defense Staff, has expressed displeasure over former President Olusegun Obasanjo's statement on the recently concluded elections. In a statement, General Akinwenade notes that he finds former president's reaction as disturbing and surprised that he would introduce such a diatribe into the body politics of Nigeria at such a delicate time as this, challenging the integrity of a national election without any shred of evidence and calling a sitting president to truncate it midway. The general, who is certain that Nigeria at this time is on the right path, says the former president's intervention falls short of patriotism and fits perfectly into meddling in the affairs of state that is already the constitutional responsibility of INEC. It therefore calls on President Muhammadu Buhari to ignore Obasanjo's recent interruptions and focus on supporting the lawful institution to do its job by allowing the process to run its full course. And still on the elections, a coalition of three opposition parties, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, the Labour Party, LP, and the African Democratic Congress, ADC, have called for an outright cancellation of the 25th February 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. This was at a joint media briefing in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf has the details, and it will come in the course of the bulletin. Now, the vice presidential candidates of the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party are demanding the cancellation of the 2023 presidential election results on the grounds of alleged irregularities and non-compliance to aspects of the Electoral Act on beavers and electronic transmission of results. This was at a joint press briefing by both parties in Abuja. Ikene Ndule reports. All right, the report is also being packaged, and it will come as the bulletin progresses. We're still on the elections. Of course, and the All Progressives Congress has appealed to its supporters to remain calm and peaceful as the nation awaits the final announcement of the presidential election by the Independent National Electoral Commission. At a media briefing in Abuja, the Media Directorate of the Campaign Council wants INEC to speed up the ongoing process of collating results. Salihu Gonara reports.
Is to respond to some comments by opposition political parties demanding the cancellation of the 25th February 2023 presidential and National Assembly election.
We want to remind them that election is a process, like pregnancy. And like a pregnancy that has reached full term, it cannot be aborted. We are not in 1993 when June 12 was aborted by similar forces. It is too late to do so now. This is 2023, and the entire world is watching our democratic process.
The national chairman has no, the national, returning officer, which national chairman, has no powers under the law to review what all those returning officers have done. All your complaints should have been resolved at that level. The process, as it is now, must be completed in law before you can even look at any complaints.
The Media Directorate cautioned Nigerians, particularly youth, to avoid false narrative about the process. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Now heading to the National Assembly, the Senate has reconvened and called on Nigerians to remain calm and allow INEC conclude the ongoing electoral process in line with extant laws and INEC guidelines. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the legislators have confirmed 5 nominees as members of the Code of Conduct Bureau.
Senators are back to the chamber after 4 weeks of election break. Basking in the euphoria of his victory at the polls, the re-elected senator for Yobe North and president of the Senate Ahmad Lawan acknowledged congratulatory handshake from his colleagues. Legislative business commenced with the carryover of the mood of the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. The motion of urgent public importance by Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe captured it all.
This Senate is concerned with the various comments and action by individuals on the ongoing process of collation and announcement of presidential election. The Senate is worried of the potential effect of such comments and action to the peace, welfare, and progress of this country.
The motion came under criticisms from some senators.
Just
for the procedures, we are supposed to have papers
listen to me, please.
Reading.
Just listen, please.
He is reading
Just
beyond
listen,
what
please.
we agreed. What
Just
he
listen.
said was that we are going to calm down nerves. But if we have to disrupt this, if we have to discuss the Electoral Act, I need to have the papers.
If we agree that we should allow him to say something, we don't have to accept everything he said.
INEC has to do the proper thing. Diver's machine was not supposed to transmit results. It was supposed to transmit results direct, supported with a photograph of the results.
Like they are saying, what they are expecting is that from the polling unit, you press a button and these results go directly to headquarters. That is not the wording of the act.
The only way out of this, Mr. President, is for INEC to strictly stick to the Constitution of Nigeria.
We are not a court to interpret, but INEC has the responsibility to give out a guideline, and they have not breached anything in the guideline.
Eventually, President of the Senate summarized the motion and ruled on the prayers.
INEC to do exactly what the law, the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and their guidelines and regulations provide for. For the rest of us citizens, we should be calm, we should watch what is going on. Anyone who later is not satisfied can go to court.
Senate has confirmed nominees for appointment as members of the Code of Conduct Bureau. It also received presidential request for the confirmation of Anthony Ojukwu for reappointment as Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission and Justice Stanley Adekunle Lawal as President, Customary Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And away from the Red Chamber, now back to our earlier report on the coalition being put together by the PDP, Labour Party and ADC, where a media briefing was held today, is now ready, and Timothy Yusuf has the details.
Let's all start first.
This media briefing is to address what the PDP, the Labour Party and the African Democratic Congress termed urgent and important issues arising from last Saturday's presidential election. This is in spite of the fact that the exercise carried out by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is still underway with collation of results ongoing in some parts of the country. The aggrieved parties alleged that the conduct of the election was marred by widespread violence, rigging, intimidation of voters, doctoring of results, and violation of laid-down electoral procedures.
We are challenging the very process because it fundamentally violates not just the law, but the electoral procedures which are derived from the Electoral Act, which INEC presented to all of Nigeria, and by the Electoral Act is compulsory that these results have to be uploaded from the polling units.
Section 16, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act states that the presiding officer shall transfer the results, including total number of accredited voters and the results of the ballot in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. The failure to comply with the provisions of the Electoral Act and the guidelines makes it imperative that all results recently uploaded to the IREF portal be audited before they are announced.
The three political parties insist that results announced by INEC so far show monumental disparities between the actual results reported by Labour Party agents and also that of the PDP. They therefore called for fresh election to be carried out within the window allowed by the Electoral Act and in accordance with the laid-down procedure for the conduct of the 2023 elections. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
This is the Network News at 9. Time for a break. Please stay. Welcome back. As already mentioned, the presidential election results from 29 states have so far been collated. The Chief Collation Officer of the 2023 presidential election and Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, promises to conclude the process diligently and at the expected time. Reacting to the walkout by PDP and Labour Party agents from the Coalition Centre yesterday, Chairman Interparty Advisory Council Yabagi Sani expresses confidence in the process and advised those expressing concerns to follow due process.
My members are here to encourage you to go ahead and ensure that the process is concluded and concluded well, so that some of our members who may have issues can now do what the process already has made provisions for, which is to seek redress.
There are many gains from this election that IPAC through our chairman has said it all. Mr. Chairman, go ahead and conclude this process.
Collation of results from the remaining 7 states will commence in a moment from now. Meanwhile, the vice presidential candidates of the Labour Party and People's Democratic Party are demanding the cancellation of the 2023 presidential election results. There was a media briefing, and Ekene Indule brings us details.
It may seem like an unlikely alliance, but events of the past few days have created a bond between two political opponents. The ensuing partnership derives from both parties' dissatisfaction with the ongoing collation of results at the National Collation Center in Abuja. The two vice presidential candidates have expressed lack of confidence in the process, citing INEC's inability to upload results from polling units as antithetical to the Commission's pledge to conduct a free, fair and credible election.
So the failure to upload results and follow the procedure set out in paragraph 38 of the manual made pursuant to the Electoral Act 2022 is a fundamental breach.
The vice presidential candidates are proposing a fresh election as remedy for the situation.
We call on the Commission to tread on the path of honor.
Agents of both parties had earlier on Monday staged a walkout from the National Collation Center in registration of their grievances. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
And in the Green Chamber, the Speaker, Femi Gbajagbeamila, has urged Nigerians to avoid actions or utterances that may set the stage for interventions that could be detrimental to the country's democratic gains achieved in the last 2 decades. Gbajagbeamila made the appeal at the first sitting of the House after the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. National Assembly correspondent Lamiali reports.
Attendance at the Green Chamber was unusually low, reason being that many are in their constituencies awaiting outcome of last Saturday's elections. The address of the Speaker captured the mood of the moment.
We will defeat the cynicism of those waiting to see their worst predictions for our country become real. Nigeria will be at peace because we will work through the law and due process to resolve differences, settle disputes, and ensure the peaceful transition of power.
The Speaker appealed to political, religious and other opinion leaders across the nation to work together to ensure due process in resolving differences. The House of Representatives, in its efforts at building institutional memory, will commence compiling transition notes at committee levels to ensure continuity for the 10th Assembly.
It will allow us to better understand where we succeeded and where we didn't as a guide for the future.
Plenary featured the consolidation of 2 bills to amend the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act. One of the bills seeks the conferment of responsibility on the agency to grant and revoke licenses for the cultivation of cannabis plants for medicinal purposes, among other issues. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency has appealed to Nigerians to remain calm and avoid acts and utterances capable of overheating the polity. As the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, collates the results of the 2023 general elections, especially the presidential election. In a statement, the Director General of NOAA, Dr. Garba Abari, asked Nigerians, especially the youths, to be patient and allow for the completion of the result collation process, bearing in mind that there are available legal means for redress of electoral grievances rather than unlawful means in ventilating any objections. Meanwhile, an elder statesman and former Minister of Works, Barnabas Demade, has also reacted to former President Obasanjo's letter, describing it as a call for insurrection and an assault on the country's democracy and rule of law. At a press briefing, the elder statesman wondered why a former president who enjoyed 8 years as a democratic president will call for a move against the wish of the people, as demonstrated in the just concluded elections. He therefore called on Nigerians, especially lovers of democracy, to rise against such a statement that can impact negatively on the country's 24 years of uninterrupted democratic governance. He also urged President Buhari and particularly the INEC chairman, Professor Yakubu, not to be deterred, but go ahead to announce the remaining results of the election and bring the process to a close. Also, the Arale Oduduwa and Oni of Ife has appealed to all stakeholders in the ongoing presidential election, particularly politicians and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to be matured in their conduct in order for peace to reign. In a statement, the co-chairman of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria noted that Nigerians, particularly the low-income earners, have been waiting patiently for the electioneering period to be over for them to resume normal activities. It added that provocative statements are unnecessary, distracting, totally unacceptable, and that all over the world, elections are known to be disputed, which are addressed in line with law of the land and in accordance with the best global practices. The traditional ruler cautioned politicians and political parties not to do anything to overheat the polity. He also called on the nation's electoral body to remain on the path of fairness, equity and justice as it sets to complete the process of announcing the results of the election as adopted in global best standard. The ONE urged Nigerians to remain patient and understanding of the fact that the country is far bigger than all entities and personalities. And still on the election, a coalition of civil societies has called on Nigerians to exercise restraint and allow INEC conclude the presidential election process. The youth leaders in the press conference appealed to the key players, including politicians, to always consider national interest in their activities in order to build a united and prosperous Nigeria. The coalition urged the youths to remain calm and law-abiding, calling on INEC to discharge its duty with sincerity of purpose and ensure that what is declared is a true representation of the people's mandate. All right, in the same vein, the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs cautions political leaders and actors against making provocative and unguided statements that could drag the country into unnecessary distractions. In a statement, the Council's Deputy Secretary, Professor Salisu Shehu, indicates that while reckless statements from average individuals can be ignored, it cannot be so of those from respected political class. It is important that patriotic and well-meaning Nigerian leaders should support unrelenting adherence to process and procedure in the ongoing electoral process. It then counsels the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to remain undistracted, committed to its duty, and discharge it to the logical conclusion. All Nigerians, particularly Muslims, are urged to, no matter the level of provocation from anywhere, remain calm and be prayerful. All right, time for another break. Please stay with us. All right, looks like
Lagos, Yere. The conduct of a just concluded presidential and National Assembly election across the country is still receiving applause from Nigerians. With another election in sight, Annie Daniels reports that a cross-section of Lagosians are advocating calmness among citizens to avoid breakdown of law and order.
It's been calm. We haven't seen any overt disruption, and it's my hope that it will be the case here and in many other places.
So there is nothing to be scared of. You can walk around, you can even see people playing ball on the streets. Okay, the roads are quite peaceful, so you can come out and make your vote count.
Lagos resident there, speaking on the peace that characterized the just concluded presidential election, but call for caution to avoid the mistakes of the past.
We may not all agree on the definition of our problems. We may not even all agree on the solution to the problem. But we must all be agreed on the fact that we will tolerate ourselves. We will be patient with ourselves. We will understand ourselves.
Despite all the challenges, Nigeria has remained one and steadfast. We will continue to pray for the government. We will continue to pray for our leaders.
These respondents prefer solutions.
As they are announcing, the results are coming. We want youth, immediately they hear, say they are announced, so person and win. They should celebrate in their house. We don't want violence.
Follow like I said, the election guidelines, and then follow whatever it is that the Independent National Electoral Commission are trying to tell us. And if you have grievances, then you know the right way of going through that.
Our respondents all agree that all eyes are on Nigeria, being the giant of Africa, and they only wish the citizens, especially youths, will apply caution in their dealings to maintain peace. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And now to other matters. What could have generated into a major disaster was timely tamed by the prompt intervention of emergency agencies when a tanker laden with diesel exploded while discharging its content at CMS Marina area of Lagos State. Lorita Arinze Gwim reports that no life was lost in the inferno.
According to an eyewitness who spoke off camera, the fire ignited when a tanker laden with diesel was discharging its contents at Marina. The combined team of firefighters were on ground, making frantic efforts to put off the inferno, while commending the public for prompt information. Emergency responders harped on the need to dislodge commercial activities under bridges across Lagos State.
The way we need to go, there is no activities under the bridge. That's what we have been trying to advocate to people. The next thing to do is to check the damage done to the piers, which we ask the engineer to check according to the international standards.
We were able to get this fire extinguished on time because we were called on time.
Due to the magnitude of people attracted to the scene, security personnel were also on ground to ensure there is no breakdown of law and order. Our camera lens also captured an official of the Nigerian Red Cross Society attending to 2 persons with minor injuries. Although the inferno has since been contained, key players say the incident is another pointer to why safety should be the watchword. In Lagos, Lorita Arinze Gwim, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. We will now go on that break, and when we return, Yere will take over again.
Welcome back. The Nigerian military is increasing ongoing de-radicalization process of insurgents in the northeast as part of efforts to achieve lasting peace in the zone. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, stressed this at a function in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
For more than a decade, northeast Nigeria was infested with the activities of the Boko Haram terrorist groups that killed and displaced, as well as property destroyed. With the renewed vigor of the armed forces, enhanced synergy among military services and other security agencies, several terrorist camps and enclaves were destroyed, while thousands were sent to the world beyond during different combat operations. The intensity of the kinetic operations led to the surrendering of 87,000 terrorists from 2021 to date.
We are looking for the best way to rehabilitate them in a way that will discourage this type of criminal activities, so that now taking into cognizance also how to rehabilitate them into the society.
This program, organized by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the Office of the National Security Advisor, in collaboration with the Nigerian Army Resource Center, is focusing at addressing challenges associated with the ongoing de-radicalization, rehabilitation and reintegration program for surrendered insurgents.
85% of these surrendered fighters